gentlemen, it is Wednesday, November 25th, 2020. I'm here with Mike Connor, the CEO of Vizsla Resources, and Charles Funk, VP Exploration. As I'm sure you know, if you're shareholders, Vizsla put out some pretty good news this morning. They've come up with yet another discovery on their Panuco property. This is number whatever, 7, 8, 9, whatever it is. This one looks particularly interesting to me because it looks like, right off the bat, with really just one drill hole and surface sampling, you can see there's definitely scale potential here, which is the one thing I think, I was hoping for, you guys are hoping for. Can you speak to where this, how this fits into the big picture, Mike, and then maybe Charles can walk us through and give us some real information about this new discovery and what he likes about it so much.
Yeah, that sounds really good. And first of all, we're extremely excited about this Corden de Oro discovery. It's an area that we've been persevering for many months, looking for something like this with our drilling, and to drill such a wide intercept of 18 meters of nearly half a kilo material, essentially from surface, is really quite impressive. So we're very thrilled about this. We're going to continue to drill here at Corden de Oro at the Aguida-Zarca zone, Aguida-Zarca zone, and we also are drilling at the southern portion of the corridor as well. So more news to come out of this area. And again, we also have 2 rigs turning at Napoleon and 1 at Tahito. So in total, 5 rigs at the Panuco district. This is just such a great example of what can come of drilling in an underexplored district like this. And I think there's many more opportunities for discoveries like this in 2021. We're going to become an even more aggressive explorer in 2021 with adding more rigs to the district. And so, for those of us, those of the audience that have just started following us, following Vizsla, I think the future is even brighter for the company.
Right, and you of course have tons of cash in the kitty. You can just drill and drill and drill for years, pretty much, with what you've got on hand now.
Yeah, we'll have about $25 million heading into 2021. So, more than well funded for the program that we have on the aggressive end as well. So,
and it's worth noting. I mean, I'm sure Charles will touch on this, but it's interesting to note the location of discovery in the Corden de Oro vein corridor. You could pretty much roll rocks down to the mill that you guys have under option. I mean, it's pretty damn close.
That's right. If you we have some photos. We have some photos and some ways of viewing this. But if you go on our website and see the verified presentation, if you center on the El Coco mill, which is the 500 ton per day mill that we have under option to us, it provides that pathway to production that we like to talk about. Now, if you were to stand there looking at the mill, looking north, and you look to your left, you'd see the zone that we've identified here with drilling, and like you said, you could roll it down the hill to the mill.
Right.
So it's really well located.
Cool. Okay, can you give us a lowdown, Charles? I mean, it looked like a pretty good scale system. I mean, it seems to have that thing that people keep asking you both about, and that's do any of these things have size? It looks like that's what you've got now.
Yeah, it's certainly a hell of a start. So for people who've, it's becoming a bit of a series, these ones we're doing on results, Eric. So for people who've been listening to these, we had the Animus corridor that's got all the historic workings and it's got multiple ore chutes along that. So that's been one of our targets, and then we took the more high risk targets of finding new preserved ore chutes. So we've had very good success at Napoleon, and we continue to have success there. But we always talked about, and it was probably an afternote in nearly all of our conversations, that we really liked Corden de Oro. And the reason is that you've got a 6 kilometre long vein that's on the other side of a graben, a basin that hosts Animus. One vein dips to the southwest at Animus, and Corden dips to the northeast. It's also topographically higher. So it had lots of little workings, no significant workings, unlike Animus. And we thought that it had potential for fully preserved ore chutes. So we've been persevering in this area for quite a while. This is hole number 13 on the vein.
Right.
And we've got sniffs and hints enough that even though we had great results elsewhere, on the fact that the vein is so wide and has the potential for those preserved shoots, we persevered in this area. So if you zoom into this sort of central area here, this is where most of our work has been. So the black diamonds are the drill holes. We started off here in what's known as the Mohaquan 1 area and stepped to the northwest. But we're focusing in on this area here that has a really classic setting in that the vein bends around to the west. So we've talked about dilation zones before and their importance in epithermals. And we originally found this structure called Aguitas Arca that runs through here. I'll zoom in another level again. It's quite tough terrain through here, so you've got to, you do well to find your drill pads. But we found that, and then when we did a lot more mapping, we could see that as well as the main vein, there's a whole series of horse-tailed structures off. And it's probably as the vein goes around the corner, you get all this sort of splaying of veins.
Right.
And that's a classic setting for hosting mineralization. So we did the surface work and came up with the channel sample that we talked about, M29, let's get the exact numbers. The 18 meters at nearly 200 grams, including 8 at 374. And that's open, that's just a function of, that's the lack of outcrop that we had.
And where is that channel sample?
So that channel sample is this set of channel sampling through here. So you can see there's good numbers to the northeast and further to the west, but they're not included in that continuous sample. The fact that we could do a continuous channel sample here is we've got a man-portable rig, and to build the road up to these drill pads, we etched away the corner of the hill and got some good subcrop.
Right.
And so then for dimensions, you can see here that from sort of one end to the other, you're over 400 meters along that corridor. I will just step on one, I'll zoom out just a touch so you can see for the point we talked about. This is the San Carlos workings here on the Animas vein, and this is the El Coco mill sitting down in here. So you look down because you're 200 meters above it, but yeah, 1.2 k's from the top of the hill down to the plant. This is the valley floor, and this is the hilltop.
Now, what about that structure? The structure that's sort of north of these ones, that the larger structure. There seem to be a number of high-grade samples on that one. Is that something you can get at?
Yeah, so this is the San Antonio structure. In fact, we now have done a deal. We own this claim block now.
Okay.
What we were looking for in this area is exactly the same thing we were looking for in this area, where this structure meets the main structure and you potentially get a blowout. And I think there's a lot more work to be done there. We didn't get great success in our first drill holes. It looks like that vein might be shutting down in a different rock unit, so the vein's not as well formed. But I still think there's lots of potential in here. We just got such a good density of such good results that we moved down here. And if we can understand the system here, then we can translate that knowledge elsewhere along the vein. So our first hole was hole 13, and we're actually targeting this structure through here.
Right.
This is the true Aguitas Arca vein. And we thought we got good results from that at surface, and we expected to chase that down to where it would intersect the main vein. And so our logic was, let's get the dip of Aguitas Arca, and then we can plan a hole back to where it runs into the main vein. And the really pleasant surprise was the amount of mineralization and stockwork that we hit in between. And that's what you're looking at in this cross section in the press release, looking to the northwest. So we drilled through the main vein. We actually hit a 4.5 meter void space that we attribute 0 value to. And then we drilled through an entire stockwork zone that we call the Panuco vein. And then this is Aguitas Arca, one of these two structures further down the hole. And so we drilled a broad interval of the 69 meters at 140, in the better developed hanging wall veins, the 18 meters at 450 and the 6 meters at 1200. So pretty spectacular results.
Yeah, no, it's a great hole. And this hole, I mean, there's no, I mean, obviously you're hoping for higher grade, more spectacular numbers perhaps in this main vein where you started out, but essentially you didn't get any of that vein in the hole. It was all just old working. So it still remains to be seen what kind of grades that carries.
Exactly. So once we drilled those holes, we used the pad and we drilled and we tried to step across at Aguirre and then to the west, and we've continued to hit stockwork in those holes. So then we built a pad. This is about 70 meters higher than this pad to come back, and that's what I just showed you in the section in this hole here, 24, that comes back.
Okay.
And we know a little bit about these workings. They probably go about 100 meters along strike on one, maybe two levels. Right. But we're below the level of those workings by the time we've come back here, about 50 meters below surface. So,
are they accessible, or are they just ones from historic?
Those ones aren't accessible, but we are in the process. There's some more workings down this area here. Right. And we're in the process of trying to reopen those and rehabilitate those so that we could go in and do some sampling further south of the Guidazarca.
And this is completed hole, so you've got 6 or 7 holes done, and the rig is on the uphill path still?
Correct. So we're just doing a steeper hole here, and then we're going to move to a pad roughly where the hand is and come back underneath hole 14. And then we're just going to step down here and get a feel for this. But the thing that really encourages me about this area is there's almost two ways to win. There's the open pittable target that's sort of 300 meters of strike length with Mojoquan and the Panuco hanging wall vein. But as we bend around this corner, when we look over towards San Carlos, there's some flat-lying rhyolites at exactly the same level. So that suggests that they're roughly at the same level. That's still a bit of a guess, but it's a reasonable guess. And then you look down the hill and San Carlos is 200 meters below you. So the fact that we've got gold-rich mineralization, very little base metals, and the textures are slightly lower temperature, implying slightly higher in the system, not much, but just slightly. I think there's the potential to drill deeper in the main vein and have a well-developed ore shoot as well. So I like that there's two ways to put ounces together here.
Yeah, no, it looks like, I mean, if you're right on top of the system, you've got a fair amount of room to work with there. And this feels like an area where you could build some ounces fairly fast. And I know that's what you've been looking for from day one, is try to find 2 or 3 areas where you can pull a resource, official or not, together that's big enough that the project makes sense in terms of the end game here and the acquisition. So is there anything have you got any sense of when we're going to see more from this? And are there other areas on the property? I don't, like, you got 5 rigs running. I don't know what the labs. I mean, I've heard from guys that a lot of labs outside of Canada have started slowing, and I think it's because the guys in Vancouver are shipping pulps all over Hell's Half Acre within their own lab system just to try to get stuff evened out. Do you foresee some decent results flow here in the next little while from these other areas? Or, I mean, what feels like it's going to be the focus right now, but you do have 4 other rigs going. What's your sense of what we might expect from some of the other areas where you're drilling right now?
Yeah, so I think the first point is, labs have slowed down. We've noted that because we're putting assays in or samples in every week. And it's gone from sub 3-week turnaround to 6 to 8 week turnaround. Nice. So that is a real effect. We've had a strategy of releasing results in blocks that are material, so that we don't just pick a result from here and pick a result from there. Yeah. So if you want to put out, I think we put out 6 holes from Papaya and 6 holes from San Carlos in the last press release. Yeah. 6 holes probably take you 4 weeks to 6 weeks to drill, so 4 weeks to drill. Then you've got that 6 to 8 weeks. So if you want to put a meaningful batch of results out, it's realistically 2 to 3 months in between each update to the market. We have the fortune that, you know, we're having good success at Napoleon. Papaya is looking encouraging. Tajitos. So we put out a Napoleon, the Papaya San Carlos results a couple of weeks ago. We've had these results this week. There's probably room for some more results either late this year or very beginning of next year. So we'll just consistently keep batching those so that the multiple rigs we have kind of offset the fact that the results would be pretty staccato otherwise.
Right. Okay. Yeah, this sounds like a pretty impressive looking discovery scale wise. I mean, this is a couple of your other discoveries look good, but this one is just, the scale feels a little more obvious here, both in terms of the apparent size of the main vein plus the stockwork zones on top of it. This feels like something where you can really build ounces. And if it sounds to me like it's no mean feat to get drill pads in this area. You're not currently building road. You're just, or are you? I mean, are you guys just sort of humping the rig around, or are you actually going to build some road in here as you move forward?
Yeah, so yeah, that's where we've been really lucky, the likes of Napoleon, because access is very easy. Here up the top of the hill, it gets a bit tougher. We've got a road right to about, you know, it goes right to the vein, it goes to the old mines. So we can get in there pretty easily, but then we always want to drill at good angles. So that's where the challenge comes. So we use man-portable rigs, and it's not too difficult. It just takes time to put those man-portable pads together and the tracks to them. So yeah, in this little local part, we have to work pretty carefully to do that.
Is there any thought to shifting a rig from one of the other target areas to get holes into this thing faster?
Yeah, it's a funny conversation to have when you look back, because we had that success at Tajitos and we'd moved that rig back up to Papaya. And so we had great results, you know, 4.5 meters at 1,800 grams silver. Yeah. And I'm telling Mike that I think we want to stay at Corden. And so you're trying to justify why you want to do that. And we talked about it's the volume. So I think the answer has been to add rigs, and it might be to add more rigs. So yes, we want to do more drilling in this area, and we'll be more aggressive and not more so than being less aggressive.
Yeah.
Okay. So it may just be a matter of bringing more rigs in rather than shifting one from one of the areas internally.
Possibly.
Right.
Yeah. That's what we're discussing as a team as we look, you know, as I mentioned before, being so well funded and having such a high success rate, you know, per each hole that we're drilling. It's you know, it's a balance between how aggressive you know, we want to be and you know how we can serve the project best, in the sense that, you know, which targets are worth pursuing. And you know, I think what you'll see from us towards the end of the year is an update on some of the prospects that we've been working on in the background over the year. You know, we do have a significant team that's prospecting and building up new areas that we could, you know, conceivably see 5 to 30 million ounces of silver, you know, testing those with the drilling. So, you know, as far as our strategy for 2021, of course, you know, we'll continue to be aggressive, and I think that, you know, it likely includes adding several more rigs to the project.
Yeah. And I realize, I mean, it's Mexico, so once you get into December and things are naturally going to slow down. I mean, Mexico takes Christmas pretty seriously, I know, so you don't try to push too far into that season if you want to keep everybody happy. Well, I mean, this is a great update. I mean, it's a great update that went into a terrible market, unfortunately. There's not much any of us can do about where gold and silver are trading today. But yeah, I was quite impressed. It was the thicknesses, but also, as you mentioned, Charles, the gold silver ratio and the apparent almost complete lack of base metals, which is really good news from where I sit. To me, that feels like top of the system stuff, which is that's really what you want if you want to be able to really build some more shoots that are undisturbed and yours to discover. Great story, ladies and gents. Vizsla Resources, entire mining camp, high-grade silver gold mining camp in Mexico, including a mill under option, 25 million to work with, 5 rigs going. Charles and Mike just told us there's probably going to be more of them in a few weeks. You know, if you want a story with high grades, gold and silver, tons of news flow, very strong market presence, this is a great story. Vizsla Resources, VZLA on the venture, I believe VIZSF on QB in the States. Take a look at this. There's a few old videos of the three of us around. Lots of good information on their website. You want to get on this one, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.